better. Hello everyone, so welcome to another video. It's great to see you back here again. If you're new here, make sure you hit the like button and consider subscribing for similar content. And if you're already subscribed, thank you again so much for being here yet again. Today I want to talk about the A7 IV and talk about many of the things that maybe you have already heard or maybe things that you haven't heard already. And just a couple of days ago, there was a brand new rumor on Sony Alpha Rumors about the Sony A7 IV. And at the end of the video, I'll be giving you my thoughts as to why I think you might be wrong about this camera. So a couple of days ago, Sony Alpha Rumors revealed yet another rumor about this camera. So the latest rumor, according to Sony Alpha Rumors, is the Sony A7 IV has the A7S3's body and has the A7S3's heatsink and takes SD and CF Express A cards. Let's go over all of the things that we know so far. So what we heard so far is that this new camera, it's not going to have the same sensor as the A7 III, but it's going to have an upgraded sensor and a lot more resolution. It's going to have a 33 megapixel sensor. We've also heard that this camera is going to have 5.5 stops of IBIS, which is about 0.5 more than the current A7 III. They also say that you'll have active IBIS, and so you should have very good image stabilization on this new A7 IV. And I think you should also be able to capture gyro data on this new camera and use Catalyst Browse to stabilize your footage and post as well. And we've been getting conflicting rumors about whether this camera is going to shoot 30 frames per second at 4K or 60 frames per second. The latest rumor that it's going to only have 4K 30 frames per second. I personally hope that they bump that up to at least 60 frames per second. Obviously not 120 frames per second in 4K because that's reserved already for the Sony A7S III. So the latest thing is that it'll have 4K 30 oversampled from 7K. Now what that means is that with a 33 megapixel sensor, you're technically able to capture about 7K of image. So the camera will be taking the entire sensor worth of data and reducing it or downscaling it to 4K. So the over in the oversampling word, it just means that there is actually more data than just the straight off 4K. We're also getting 200 frames per second in 1080p, which would be a great addition, especially for me. I really love doing super slow motion in product videos, so that will be great to have. The latest rumors also say that we'll have full-size HDMI, which is a great addition, and no longer you need to find the different types of sizes of HDMIs to make sure that they fit your camera. And we know that the camera will have dual card slots and would take CF Express A cards as well as SD cards. And in terms of the body of the camera, we can expect something very similar to the A7S III. And that just means one thing, that we're getting the flip out screen for sure. For sure, right, Sony? Every screen and every camera should just have a flip out screen. It's 2021, so yeah. So some of the other things that must be on this camera as well, I think, are the new menus that the A7S III has. I also think they should include the tally light, which is the little rectangle that appears on your screen when you press record. It's a really nice addition to have, especially if you're just looking from your small screen and you're not using an external recorder. And they should include an improved burst mode. The A7 III has 10 frames per second, so anything above that, maybe 12 or 15, is going to sit quite well with me. And another thing that I wish they would include in this camera, but I have a strong feeling that they might not, is having the ability to record 422 10-bit internally. I personally do not think they would do that just because the A7S III is already there, and if they were to do that, then that would draw a lot of people away from purchasing the A7S III. I do think that they might include it as an external option if you use an external recorder, but probably not internally. All right, in terms of price, apparently, they say that this price is going to be about $2,500 US, which is a little bit on the pricier side compared to the A7 III when it just launched, and even compared to the A7C. The A7C, I think it's about $1,700 or $1,800, and currently the A7 III is about $1,900 or $2,000. Maybe they could reduce the price on the A7 IV, maybe to about $2,200 or $2,300, but they probably want to increase the price on this one because it has a new sensor and an improved megapixel count. And this is going to make this camera compete directly with the Canon R6, which is about $2,500 as well. But the good news is that this is going to reduce the price of the A7 III even further, so you can probably pick a new one for a lot cheaper or even a cheaper A7C. So this will make it easier for people to enter into the Sony full-frame mirrorless system. So when is this camera going to be out, you ask me? Well, the rumors say that they'll make the announcement in October, but again, those are just rumors. And even if they do make the announcement in October, the camera might not be widely available for everybody because of the chip shortage. So now let's talk about why I think some people may be wrong about this camera. Some think that this might not be that camera that they might purchase, or the camera, or the new king of Sony cameras, because it won't have 4K 120 frames per second, and it won't have most likely 422 10-bit internally, or that it won't handle low light that well because of the 33 megapixel sensor. You have to remember that this camera, like the A7 III, is meant to be a hybrid camera, and it brings the best features of both photo and video into one compact full-frame mirrorless system. If you wanted to include all of these features in this camera, then you might as well just get the A7S III. If you wanted very video-centric features, the A7S III is already out there. I don't think Sony might want to treat the A7 IV as a fully video-centric camera, because that would just kill off the A7S III. In my opinion, the A7 IV is going to be a very exciting and a very good hybrid camera. I think the A7 IV might be the new hybrid camera king. So if you want a very high resolution camera for prints or photos, and if you also want the capability to shoot very professional videos, the A7 IV will be able to do just that. It will be just like the A7 III that a lot of people are still using in 2021, including myself. It does photos really, really well, and it does video really, really well, at a professional level even. That's why I think you might be wrong about this camera. You might be comparing it to something that is not supposed to be. So I don't think the A7 IV should be compared to the A7S III. I think the A7 IV should be compared to other similar hybrid mirrorless camera systems, maybe like the R6 or the old A7 III, for example. So anyway, so those are just my thoughts on the A7 IV. I'm really excited to hear this announcement and to see what Sony finally put on this camera. Let me know in the comments below which feature you're most excited about. I would love to hear about it. So that's it for today's video, guys. Hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and here are a couple of videos you could watch next, and I'll see you next time.